Write an equation of the situation. Veronica owes $250 on her credit card at a 5% monthly interest. Let X represent the months and Y represent the total balance. Okay, so let's see what it is we're doing here. So I owe $250 on my credit card at 5% monthly interest. So a couple things. Right away, 5% I know becomes 0.05. And I know that interest means you have to add 1. Remember, so this is where we're creating that shortcut of 1.05. So we don't have to keep adding every time. So then if I wanted to find my interest, I would just multiply these two. So this is like my bill is $250, but I get charged interest. So how much will my actual bill be? When you multiply them together, you do get 262.5. So if my initial value is $250, but my interest rate is 105, my actual bill is going to be $262, and 0.5 just means 50 cents, because remember we can add a 0 to the end. But reading this problem didn't ask me to find a value or anything. It's saying write the equation of the situation, letting X represent the months and Y the balance. So what they mean by that, the 262, that was my balance after 1 month. And I know that because there's that little invisible 1 exponent there. If I wanted my value after 2 months, I would do my 2 exponent, and then I would do 1.05 to the second power, multiply it times 250, and get a value there. If I wanted my balance after 6 months, I would keep this same formula and just raise it to the 6th power. So remember, those are those shortcuts we talked about. So for this situation, and when we write an equation, they want you to, instead of inputting the number, they want you to just leave that as X. And notice they told us here, let X represent the months. So instead of putting here 7 months, 6 months, whatever, we're just going to go ahead and put an X. And Y represents the total balance. Well, whatever balance we get, that's what it's going to equal there. So our actual equation is just Y equals our initial value, which was 250, times that interest rate of 1.05 to the X power. And we're going to say X represents the months, and Y represents the total loan, which they tell us up here also, but we didn't need them to tell us this. We know this on our own as well. And that would be your equation. As a general formula, your exponential equations will be Y equals the initial value. So whatever you start with is your initial value. You multiply it times 1 plus or minus your percentage. So remember, if we're doing taxes, we do plus. I said that backwards. If we're doing taxes, we do minus. If we're doing interest, we do plus. And then we raise that to the X power. So this is the general formula where you can plug in any value for your initial value. You might have also seen me write it like this, A times 1 plus or minus the percentage, where A is just that initial value. And you do this when they want you to write the equation, not necessarily find a value. So they didn't say anything about finding a value here. They wanted the general equation.